Hello, my name is Mohammed Balal. I work for Ingram Micro as a solutions architect on all things hyper-converged and all the bits and bobs attributed to the data center. So I help partners do the enablement piece and also advise them on what's the best route to take for technology. So I've got a few questions around Hyperflex from the panel. So hopefully I should be able to answer them straight away. If not, I can get back to you, but let's give it a bash. Okay, so the first question from the panel is from Santosh. What about traditional storage? Is this the end? So the short answer is no, this isn't the end. Hyperflex, as you know, can coexist and work together with traditional SANs. So you could provision storage pools from a traditional STAN, and obviously the virtual machines on your Hyperflex platform can utilize that storage pool. So generally, there's always a misconception around a new product coming into the market, such as Hyperflex or hyperconverged, and it's the demise or the end of the road for the older technology, in this case SAN, but that's not the case. So HCI or Hyperflex can coexist with storage solutions, external storage solutions. And again, it's all about use cases. So for example, if you have archival data which isn't accessed regularly, it's best that kind of data is stored in your traditional SAN rather than in your Hyperflex platform. So if you think about it, you wouldn't really store archival data on running SSDs. It just doesn't make sense at all. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so the next question is from Jenny. Can you explain the edge and is Hyperflex a good play? Okay, yeah, sure, Jenny, that's a good question. So Jenny, what we've seen is a huge demand in compute and storage resources at the edge. So if you think of the retail sector, let's say a medium or large retail organization will have multiple branches or stores dotted around the UK. You could class that as the edge of their network. So you've got the central data center, and then you'll have those branches which will have their compute and the storage requirements. So what it is those branches will have some form of processing to do. So in terms of, I don't know, card transactions, stock check-in, emails, HR, etc. And it makes sense to process that data at the branch and then at some point upload it centrally to the data center. So if you think about those branches, you've got hundreds of those branches, and if they didn't have any processing locally at the branch, it will send all the data upstream to the data center. That will get processed and it will transfer back to the branch. And obviously, today's networks isn't able to accommodate that. You're going to saturate the network. Yes, 5G is around the corner, but we still believe processing will be done at the edge. So again, another example is CCTV. You normally tend to have CCTV recordings recorded locally rather than sending it upstream purely because of the network bandwidth. Another example is IoT. When you've got multiple sensors transmitting data, all that data is allocated and aggregated locally at the edge, and then all filtered, all the white noise cleared off, and then it's sent up to the data center. So that's the idea. So we're going to see more and more. So as more and more people going towards the IoT track, you can have more and more sensors. You might have more and more mobile devices, etc., all transmitting data. So that's the idea of having compute and storage at the edge. So Hyperflex, yes, it's a good play. So Hyperflex, they've got something called Hyperflex Edge, and it's all about starting off with 2 nodes and then increasing to 4. So it's all about having some kind of compute and storage solution with minimum application growth. So you know what you've got there. You know after 4 or 5 years time that storage is going to grow linearly. It's not going to exponentially grow, and there's not a requirement for terabytes or petabytes of data. So that's the idea. So it's also perfect for SMB operations as well, not just for the large sectors. So if you've got a small organization that needs maybe 10, 20 virtual machines running to perform certain duties or tasks, the Hyperflex Edge is a more suitable solution. The other great thing, so against the competitors, is the requirement for a witness. So generally speaking, for the competitors, you need a physical witness located essentially at the data center for each branch that you have running a hyperconverged solution. But with Hyperflex Edge, the witness is actually stored in the cloud through Intersight. So again, that saves you resources as well. So there's no need for you to provision a virtual appliance just for a witness. So let's say if you've got 100 branches, you don't need 100 witnesses. So I know there's the competitors. You'll need 100 witnesses for those 100 branches. With Hyperflex Edge, you've just got the witness in the cloud. So that's a great benefit. Again, for an IT administration point of view, if you've got 100 branches to manage, or if you're small IT with minimum IT skills, you're an IT guy who's doing the storage and networking and compute, the last thing you want is a complex solution. So for Hyperflex Edge, you can actually deploy it remotely through Intersight, and also you can manage an update with one-click updates as well. So it's quite easy to manage. So me being an ex-IT administrator, that's a good plus point in terms of manageability. So hopefully that answers your question, Jenny. So I have a question from John. What tools are they used to size a Hyperflex solution? Okay. So John, if you Google, or from any of your favorite search engine, Hyperflex Sizer, you should see somewhere near the top a URL from Cisco, something around along the lines of Hyperflex Sizer. If you click on that, as long as you've got a Cisco partner account, it will log you in. So there's two ways to size a Hyperflex solution. Number one is if you've already got your virtual machine requirements in terms of CPU, memory, gigahertz, you can manually enter it in. So there's a wizard-based prompt which takes you to the next screen. So you add in whether you're looking for a VDI environment or a server infrastructure or database. You can add those entries in. You can add in how many virtual CPUs you require, memory, etc. And then from that wizard, the Hyperflex will go out and come back with you the recommended number of nodes, and it gives you the options whether you want an all-flash or a hybrid solution, etc. The other way, which is my preference, is to actually download a virtual appliance into your customer's environment, and that will monitor the actual virtual machine usage. So it will tell you what the virtual machine CPU is, the RAM, the storage requirements, the performance, and then from that information, it will spit out a report, and then from that report, you import it into your sizer, and then it will calculate what Hyperflex solution that you require. So that's the best way of doing it, purely because it actually knows what is running on the environment, and if you do it the other way, it doesn't pick up information around how well that infrastructure is performing, whether there's any spikes in terms of performance. Let's say the customer's doing backups during the evening, it's not going to pick up all those kind of information as well. So that's the best way to do it. Again, if you do get stuck, here at Ingram Micro, we've got a pre-sales team that can take you through the steps in how to do that as well. So if you don't want to do any of this investigative research, speak to our Cisco pre-sales team. They can do this all for you, and then again they can build the bombs for you as well. So that's a good way of doing it. I know the competitors, they've got their own tools, but personally, I think this is the best tool purely because you are actually installing an appliance at your customer's environment, and it's picking up the actual readings of what the environment looks like. So it's the best way to do it, in my opinion. And final question is from Edward. What are the top 5 reasons for choosing Hyperflex over the competitors? Okay, let's give it a bash. So it shouldn't be too hard anyway, but I'll give you a top 5 lowdown. So number 1 is hyperconverged infrastructure normally incorporates your networking, your compute, and your storage. So the good news with Hyperflex is you can manage all 3 through a single interface. Whereas when you talk about the competitors, when they talk about hyperconverged infrastructure, normally the storage and the compute is separate to networking. So you probably need a separate management interface to manage your network configuration side. So with Hyperflex, your Fabric interconnects, your Cisco nodes with this compute and storage is managed through one single interface. Number 2, it's all policy driven. So you can create policies to configure and manage your Cisco Fabric interconnects and your Cisco nodes as well in terms of your compute and storage, which is great. Number 3, these policies and management is done through Cisco Intersight, which is the intelligent central management. It has the telemetry and analytics engine, which can monitor the performance of your Hyperflex cluster and give you recommendations. Again, your management and your policy interface is done through Intersight as well. It can be done. So you can push out policies through Intersight for your Fabric interconnects and for your Cisco. So if you've got Cisco UCS service, which is outside of the Hyperflex cluster, you can also manage that as well. Another good tool is a Intersight mobile app. So you can monitor your Intersight environment on the go, which is great. Especially being an IT administrator, it's quite beneficial. Number 4 is the Kubernetes. So it has support for Kubernetes. So there is a Hyperflex CSI plugin, which gives you access to containerization on the Hyperflex platform. So in terms of a DevOps who's already used to using Kubernetes, there's nothing new to learn, and it's the same process in provisioning storage and containers on that. So that's a great benefit for DevOps guys. And probably the last one is the integration with ACI. Your customer, if they've already got an ACI environment, Hyperflex can slot in quite nicely with the ACI, so you can have your application-driven policies all the way across the stack, which is great. I'll give you a bonus. Number 6 is the one-click upgrade. So through the Hyperflex management pane, you can actually do one-click upgrades as well. So what we'll do is bring one of the hosts down into maintenance mode, update that, bring it back up, and then move the virtual machines across, and then bring the other one down. So it's all quite seamless, and that's another benefit. Whereas when you're talking about the competitors, sometimes you get a massive manual, or sometimes it has to be done by their professional services. So it's a great bonus that you can do that one click quite seamlessly. So quite beneficial for those one-man band IT teams, or if you're managing large scale Hyperflex clusters.